I'm not a Premier Institute graduate. I have done my MBA from a tier 2 college. I have worked on contract jobs. I have also worked as an independent consultant. I have worked full-time jobs. So basically you name it and I have done it. My first ever HR job was as an HR intern, and currently I'm working as a global HR manager, managing HR for India, US and Canada of the company I work for. And it's been roughly around 12 plus years, close to 13 years since I started my career, and it's been hell of a ride. So in today's video, I'll share my entire journey from HR intern to global HR manager. I'll share what each role I took, what that role looked like, how did I get into those jobs, what skills I have to learn to reach to the next level, and what was expected out of me in those roles. So it's going to be a realistic picture to help you understand what a realistic HR journey looks like to reach that level from scratch, so that you can have real expectation, you can learn real skills. And I'm not gatekeeping anything. I'll share everything in detail. If you are not interested in such a in-depth kind of video and you just want some overview of my journey, then you can watch my earlier video. I did a quick summary kind of video of my journey last year, so you can take a look at that. There I shared a journey of around 6 years and it gives a beautiful summary. Obviously I look very different from that video because I'm on maternity and almost 20 kgs overweight. So guys, bear with me. And if you are not even interested in that kind of video and you want like quick summary somewhere, then you can visit my LinkedIn profile. Everything is listed there. No gatekeeping. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, except for one thing, I'm not going to share salary details as of yet. I mean, the day I hit 1 lakh subscribers on this channel, I'll share all those details as well. So come on guys, give me some good reason to share such valuable information, some insider information. Get to work. And with that, let's begin. So my journey actually started with a small internship. I was in final year of my college MBA and we were expected to get a HR internship. It was a mandatory internship. Every student was expected to get an internship in final year. So we used to apply to a lot of companies every single day. But obviously being from tier 2 college, what you expect. So we never got any response. At least I didn't get any response. No response at all. So that's when a lot of my classmates suggested that you can just get a fake certificate of the internship. There are some training institute, you pay some money and then they give you these certificates. But I was headstrong. I didn't want to start my journey that way. I was eager to learn. I really wanted to work somewhere and to see that how HR feels, how working in HR feels. If you want more context of that conversation, you can refer to that video. So I was really eager. Nothing was happening. So I ran to that one person who has always been my savior my entire life, my father. So I told him that no matter what, you have to find me an internship. And poor man, he doesn't have any corporate background. He doesn't know anybody in corporate IT sector. So what he did was he had a friend who was working for PSU, one of the Indian PSU, government public sector unit, if you guys know. So he requested him if I can apply for an internship in his organization. To which he told that he is not in HR, so he's not sure, but he'll come back. And then later he told me that I can apply, but it's going to be very strict. I have to prove myself that I am really interested and I know stuff, and I have to go to multiple rounds of interview and all of that jazz, and forget about stipend. Zero money, nothing will be paid. So don't have any such expectations. To which I obviously said yes, very happily, because I just wanted some exposure, real exposure. And I thought starting with a PSU is a great thing. And I went through all the interview rounds. I somehow got the idea when he said that it will be strict. I got the ideas in the interview that what he meant. And sitting through those interviews, I really felt that I'm applying for some high paying job. The way they were, asking questions and were trying to contradict me for every single thing. Anyways, and then I went through all the interview rounds and then finally landed in the internship. It was for 3 months and it was the most terrible, horrible experience till date. I mean, I have never worked in any organization which was that bad. No offense, but I didn't like it there. Everybody there was of my parents' age, obviously, and they didn't give a damn about my existence there. And the process, everything was too complex for no reason. Everything was manual, and if you suggest anything, obviously, they will behave as if, who are you to tell us what to do, kind of attitude. So basically, every single day, a lot of dusty files were dumped on my desk, and I had to go through them. Half the papers had some stains of tea cup, tea glasses, whatnot. Anyways, even if we put that aside, that how the documentation is done there, everything was just not worth it. The learning experience, the ways of working, I felt as if I am going backward in times rather than learning something new. So I didn't like it there. But so I had this tiny bit of hope in my heart that IT sector is not like that. So with that hope, I continued. I completed my post-graduation, and I secured a placement after that in a very micro small company. Because obviously you do not get many placement opportunities in tier 2 college. There used to be very few companies that visited us that year, very few, and very few of us got placed. And I got placed only because my written English was good. I mean, at least they thought my written English is good. They didn't ask any question related to HR. They just give several topics to write things on that. So I secured a placement there, and it was somewhere around 22K per month. And the title was also not very specific to HR. It was, I don't even remember what was the title, but it was something related to administration only, but not specific to HR. So I was not very excited for that job, but I was like, something is better than nothing. I got to start somewhere. So that was that. Then came a twist in life, and life happened, and I couldn't take that placement. I couldn't pursue it. I had to drop it because my mom underwent a major surgery that year, and nobody else came for help. So I obviously had to be by her side and take care of her. So obviously everything on career front came to a pause. I thought once everything is settled and everything is fine, I'll start back again. I'll start my search again. So obviously it was not the easiest thing, because I knew the market is already competitive. I am from a tier 2 college. I couldn't take my placement, and this was the second time I couldn't pursue my placement. I dropped my BTech's placement, which was paying me much more, because of MBA. So the story is in that video. So then a year after that, everything was fine, normal. I shifted to Bangalore, and after I landed in the Bangalore, without wasting any time, I immediately started applying to every single job on Naukri.com which said fresher can apply, and I targeted specifically small companies because I didn't want to waste my time applying to bigger companies. There was a strategy behind it. Maybe someday I'll share that strategy as well, why I wasn't applying to bigger companies. So I applied to every possible small company which said fresher can apply, and there used to be bulk tries, as in I wasn't the only person they invited for the interview, or 2-3. There would be like 50 or hundreds of people they would invite. We would start around 9 in the morning interviewing, and would wait for our turn. It would be like sometime in the evening. And to be very honest, there were many interviews where I went there, I just waited for the whole day, and obviously there were other people also waiting, and interview never happened. Those guys just said that, we are winding up, we are done for the day, we cannot take any more interviews. So that also happened. But thankfully, within a month after doing all of this, I landed in a job with a very small company, like micro small company, and it was much lesser than I got in my placement. But I knew that I had to start somewhere, so I took that job. It was again not a pure core HR job which I would like, but I knew that it is not easy to get core HR job. I will have to build my ladder to that profile. So I took it. It was a company which had some product tool in HR, and bigger companies were using that tool of HR or recruitment. So I joined them, and because it was a very small company, every now and then they used to change our roles. I mean, initially I was made to work on the product. We would enter some data into that tool, or we would feed the resumes into the tool, or try to screen them. And soon after that, they deputed me to Logica, which was their client who was using that product. Logica is now CGI. CGI has taken over Logica. So I started going there, and it was obviously a bigger MNC. And for the first time I experienced the culture of MNC, but obviously my role was limited to the tool which my company was offering and helping that MNC to use that HR tool well. That was my job. So basically, if managers are running promotions and performance appraisals are happening, I have to make sure that they use our tool well and feed the information well, and the results that are generated for the evaluations are generated right. All of that stuff was happening. So when life finally started to feel like, okay, I'm getting it, and I'm getting into the flow, I'm learning how things are done, then came another big shift which I couldn't control. The acquisition. CGI was acquiring Logica, which means CGI will have its own tools and own HR team, its own vendors. So every vendor, every tool which Logica was using was then sent back. So I worked in that job for around 7-8 months, and though the company deputed me to Amazon, I couldn't continue that job. I'll tell you the story. I'll tell you the reason. But one thing I want to point here is that though my role was limited to how the tool is used well in Logica, my company's tool is used well in Logica, I learned much beyond that, because I used to sit with Logica's HR team. My desk was just in that team only where everybody used to sit. So I used to work with them. So I learned a lot about HR. I used to participate in their activities if any event is going on. And some days I used to even help them with recruitment drives, because it would be like a lot of people coming for the interview, and then it would be difficult for 2-3 people to manage them. So I used to volunteer to help them. And they were, very good people, and they were ready to share. So I used to learn from them a lot about the regular HR stuff. So though my profile was limited, but I learned because of the colleagues I had. So I was having a wonderful time, but because of that CGI acquisition, everything was getting over. Though my parent company deputed me to Amazon so that I can continue there, they had many clients, so I was deputed to Amazon. And surprisingly, here is a lesson for every single one of you. Logica was not known to me. I never heard Logica before I went there, honestly. But Amazon was a big brand. I was really excited to go to Amazon, though it was in another part of the city for me. It's like I was living in one part of Bangalore and Amazon was in another part of Bangalore, World Trade Center, if memory serves. It was very far, and it used to take me around 400 rupees to reach to Amazon, just one side, and it was crazy. I wasn't earning big money anyways, so I was excited to go there. But to my surprise, people at Amazon were so arrogant. I couldn't digest. I was like, oh my god. I mean, the pride they had about the fact that they are working in Amazon was mind blowing. I mean, it was crazy. I couldn't take it. That was anyways a side reason, but more than that, I couldn't travel that much, and company wasn't paying me that much money to go to Amazon every single day. So I decided that this is not going to sail. I think I went there for less than a month, maybe 3 weeks or so, and then I put down my papers. I was like, I can't continue, and then I applied everywhere possible again. But by then I had some experience, and what I did was very smart of me, so take notes here. What I did was I included every possible experience or every possible learning I learned from that Logica's HR team as well. I put everything on my resume. Though my formal role or the JD or the definition of my role was limited to that tool, but I included everything on my resume, whatever I learned during my stay in Logica. I used to see those people doing it. I never did those tasks myself, but I saw how they are doing. I saw how managers were performing the performance appraisal, how the information is fed, how the evaluations are done, how it is presented on the screen, because I used to be in those meeting rooms making sure the tool is working fine. So I saw them discussing everything, and I helped in recruitment drives as well. So I put every possible damn thing that I saw in Logica happening, or I did briefly, or person sitting next to me is doing, I put everything on the resume. And to be honest, it wasn't fake. I was aware. It's just that I never got a chance to do it. But I saw how it happens in real time, and given a chance, I could do it. So I slapped everything on my resume and I applied everywhere possible. And again, within a month, I landed in a job. Again, it was a bulk drive where I went, and you can see the company names in my LinkedIn profile as well. It was the company called Yodi. It also is now acquired by some other company. I don't know what's with me and companies getting acquired. Anyways, so I landed that job. So here also I want to share one learning. So take notes. What happened during that drive was the drive started around 9 or 10 in the morning. So everybody was made sit in GD rooms, discussions were happening, then interviews happening. And like that, I mean, it took them entire day to finish the drive. And if I remember correctly, it was 8:30 in the evening and there were only 2 people left. And the HR director was taking the final interview. And we 2 girls were sitting outside, and that girl requested me that if she could take the interview first, though it was my turn. She said she has come from very far in Bangalore and it would be difficult for her if she delay any further, and she also do not want to lose the opportunity now that she has reached that final round of interview. And honestly, it wasn't a difficult decision for me because my house was just like 5 minutes from there, 5 to 10 minutes from there. So it wasn't a problem for me, and I do not have to go alone. I mean, my husband would pick me up from there. So it wasn't like I was doing her a favor. So it was like, okay, no big deal, another 15 minutes, so not a big deal. So I told her, you can go. So then what happened was the HR director came out and the girl she was interviewing also went, and then she called my name. Then I told the HR director that this girl, whatever her name was, I forgot. So I told that she has come from really far, and she's worried if she will be late, then it will be difficult for her to go home. So she wants to go first, if you do not mind. To which the HR director very pleasantly said, that's fine, she can come first. And then she went, and I was the last one to meet the HR director, and she obviously asked all the HR related questions, whatever my experience was. She asked a couple of things, and it was a long interview. And then she happens to like me, and the same day, I mean, it was around 9 in the evening, she just said that the HR manager would meet me for more detailing and everything else, and she discussed that you understand this is so and so role. So she was offering me like 2 or 3k lesser than what I was getting in that Amazon role. So I was like, it's okay, I cannot go to Amazon, so it's okay if it is 2-3k lesser than that. So then the HR manager came and verbally discussed everything, the offer, the working conditions, and I came back with basically a verbal offer. They told me that they'll send me the offer tomorrow, the next day, because it was almost it. And that's how I landed in my Yodli's job. So that was the job in my career where I learned the most. I mean, be it recruitment, be it HR operations, be it something else. And the reason, once again, why I learned so many things there is because everybody used to sit very closely, be it recruiter, HR operation, BP, manager. We used to have that cubicle, or learning and development folks. So it wasn't a huge HR team, but there were separate people for separate responsibilities, like recruitment operations, somebody who's onboarding, somebody sourcing, or somebody who is taking care of learning and development, all that stuff. Though my role was very junior and limited to like helping in recruitment and on the job operations, all of that stuff, but I learned a lot of things because I was surrounded with colleagues who were doing so many things, and I used to volunteer. Not only I mean, we used to help each other when somebody's out or is on holiday, is sick, on sick leave. We used to step in and take care of that stuff, and that helped every single one of us. And again, I think I worked there for close to 3 years, and I had to leave that company because of maternity. I was really sick. I couldn't continue the job, and it was much before COVID, so work from home wasn't a thing. Though I requested for it, but it didn't get approved, so whatever. So then I had to leave it, and then I came back to Delhi NCR, where my hometown is. Took that whole gap of around 1.5 years. It was difficult though, because back of my mind I was constantly like, I don't know if I'll ever get a job, and I was on such a good career path, because be it my first company where I was working with the Logica, or be it this company Yodli, I was getting appraised, as in the increments that I was getting were very good, very good. They were not based off percentages like 3%, 4% or 10%, because if you start with a small package and somebody is giving you increments basis like 3-4% or 10%, then you forget about growing. I negotiated increments basis like increment of 10-20k per month, so like that. So if you see it percentage wise, it may sound like 50% hike. Who gives 50% hike? So that is when your strategy comes in, because you have to speak for yourself. If you stay limited into that policy zone, that only 10% is allowed or only 5% is allowed, and that happens with bigger companies. Remember, I told you I never applied to bigger companies, so that was the reason. And somehow I was always aware of the fact that bigger companies are rigid in their approach. They do not care what special case you have, while smaller companies are still in making, their policies are still in making, so they are very flexible. So if you approach them with a genuine case or whatever, they at least listen. And if you have proved your work and if you have given good result, they will listen and they will give you increments. So I was getting very good, phenomenal increments year after year, and I was on a very good growth journey. I honestly didn't know that I will be so sick. It was my first child, and I didn't know that I will be so sick right from the beginning. I mean, I couldn't even drink water. It was that bad. So I had to leave. It was heartbreaking. And then after a career break for almost, I think, 1.5 years, came back to Bangalore again. I started applying there with all the experience I had. So honestly, not many opportunities were materializing, and the shocking reason was that I had a baby at home to take care of. So I remember going to, I don't want to take the name of the company, maybe someday I'll share in my newsletter where I share inside stories. Subscribe if you really want to listen to the inside stories, which I cannot share publicly on social media. So I reached the VP level interview round. It was a good MNC, very good MNC. It was far from my home, not like Amazon far, but far from, like it was in Whitefield. I was staying in HSR in Bangalore. If any Bangalorean is here, they would know. So it was far, but I was ready because I had to start my career back. And the person, the HR manager, HR director under whom I would work, that lady told me it's just a formality. VP just meets people, just to see the vibe matches. That's all. He's not a HR person and all of that stuff. So we are hiring you. You are shortlisted. It's just a formality. You come on this and this day and meet him. I was like, okay. So I went into that interview. First, it started with a little bit of technical side, technical as in related to the job task and HR expertise. Okay, that was over in like 10 minutes or so. And then he started asking questions on my personal life, like regarding my baby, who will take care of the baby, how will I travel. And then he asked a question which really surprised me. He asked that, do you have any kind of loan, like home loan or something to which you have to pay EMIs, or your husband has to pay EMIs? And I was like, why is he asking that question? So to which I said that, no, we do not have any EMIs as of yet. I mean, we were very young. We didn't need to actually buy any house. With God's grace, our parents have established those things already. We come from a background which is well taken care of. I went to search job because I want to work. It's not that something is requiring me to work. And when I answered that question honestly, he wasn't very convinced as in, I could see it on his face that he's not going to hire me. So he was like, then why you want to work, why you want to leave behind your little child and come to job every day? And I was surprised to see that question. I mean, I do not expect that from a VP level person, and nobody asked that question from a male candidate. So I felt really bad. I clearly told him that I am here because I really want to work and grow in my career. And I knew that very moment that he's not going to hire me. So we talked a little bit more, and then I was asked to leave. And later that recruiter contacted me and said that you're not shortlisted. Then I requested, by then we were in very good terms because it has been a while that the process was going on, and she was certain. She told me that I'm anyways hired. So we were exchanging messages. I asked her that what was the reason why wasn't I hired, and she said maybe if you had some EMIs he would have hired you. And I asked her, why is that so? I mean, why he thinks that EMIs make good employees, or that's even a criteria of hiring. To which she told that his point of view is that because this job is little far and it's quite challenging, the job responsibilities were like really, it had a good scope. So his perception or his point of view was that because I have a baby, I'll take leave every now and then. I would want to go home early than the time of the shift, and I would come late. I would ask for holidays more often. So this was his point of view, and I was shown the reality of how career works for women. So I was heartbroken. I was like, rather than focusing on my abilities, how well I can do the work. I mean, a lot of candidates applied for that job. A lot of candidates went to second, third, fourth round of interview. Only I was shortlisted to meet the VP. That means I did something right and I was best among them. But I was rejected basis my parental status, as in as a new mom, how I'm going to cope with it. So that's your learning. You may want to lie in your interviews that you have EMIs to pay and bills to pay, and maybe you get hired. Do not do that. So nothing was coming by, and time was flying. I didn't want to waste any time, so I started applying for contract jobs as well. So then I got accepted in one of the jobs. It was with Cisco, and it was again very near to my house. So I honestly didn't have any reason to say no to that, apart from that it was a contract job. So a contract through an agency. I think I don't remember on top of my head which agency it was, but our payroll would be through that agency, but we would go and work from Cisco's office. So we used to go there. Amazing office, amazing infrastructure, amazing team. I mean, people were there, were very nice. And what surprised me in Cisco's office, they were very disciplined, as in 4 o'clock everybody will pack their bag and start leaving. They would start very early, around 8 or so people would start coming into office, and 4 o'clock everybody's gone. So I used to like that culture. But here the problem was, I was not liking the work, the job profile. If I remember correctly, we had to like process documents as per the checklist. It was a very mundane and repetitive job, though it was a part of HR. But I mean, you cannot spend your whole day processing documents. They needed these kind of people because Cisco is huge. They have huge employee base. And so one team, if it is dedicated to documentation, the team will do just that. If one team is dedicated for scheduling interviews, it will do just that. So that's one thing I hate about the structures in big MNCs. You do not really get to learn the entire HR. You hardly learn the entire HR in one company in MNCs. So that's why I any day prefer small, mid-size, micro-size companies when it comes to HR job, because MNCs will just give you one tiny portion of the HR and you will end up working your whole life on that tiny task of the HR, and you will be depressed working repeatedly on that. I mean, I couldn't take it because I have done the full-blown HR job previously. So I was looking for something similar, and I couldn't take it. And also I knew that I could eventually find a role like that. I had that confidence. So obviously there were a lot of interviews I was giving in that time, and when I was in Cisco working, I think it was around 1.5 months since I was working there, I heard back from another company where I had applied and appeared for the interviews. It's just that the final round was delaying, so I thought maybe they have not shortlisted me. That's why I joined Cisco. So then 1.5 months, and then I heard back from them that the final interview round is arranged. It was with a company called Maxim. You can look in my LinkedIn profile. So I went there for interview, and I was shortlisted there. And initially I started there on a contract profile again. There also it was an agency, though I never spoke to that agency, but my manager in Maxim told me that my payroll would be processed by that agency, and I would be like on a third party payroll kind of stuff, but I will have to work from a company's office and everything. It's just that my salary would come from that company. So I was like, okay, whatever. I just wanted to have a good profile, so that was the reason I accepted it. And that profile was rich, something that I was looking for from a very long time. It was like end-to-end, full-blown core HR profile. We just had one more person in the recruitment who then became a great friend of mine, and we used to be just 2 people in HR team. She used to work on the recruitment part and I used to work on everything other than recruitment, and we both used to report to the HR head of India. So that was the structure. Then I left Cisco's job. Obviously I put down my papers. I told them I do not want to work. Obviously they tried to retain me because by then I had finished orientation. I was actually, producing results and doing a good job, and they even told me it's a bigger brand and it's good for your resume, all of that. That was true, but what's the point if you do not like the job? So I started in Maxim. I think I worked there for 1.5 years. I learned a lot. It was not a huge setup, though Maxim is a very big company globally. They have I think offices in 30-40 locations across the globe. So again, Maxim got acquired by some another company. I don't know what's going on with my career, that wherever I joined, it got acquired by some other company. So we'll discuss that someday. There's a story behind that also. So I had a very good time there and I saw a lot of great things and not so great things as well. That's very important if you want to grow in your HR career. If everything is that you experience so far is rosy in HR, then let me tell you that means your profile yet is not very rich, because HRs are bound to see situations which are not so great, not so pleasant to handle, very difficult, very political, and sometimes can even turn legal as well. So that was that. And once again, when I felt like my career is stable, is going well, the growth is good, the life took a U-turn and we had to come back to Delhi NCR for personal reasons. My husband got a job very quickly. I mean, he applied few referrals and he got accepted. He had a lot of experience by then, so he got accepted and he went, and I had honestly very limited time to search for something and go with that. So I was applying everywhere, but nothing was working out. But then I was like, you know what, whatever comes my way, I'll just pick it. So nothing major was coming my way. Most of them were contract jobs. So then I accepted one of the jobs which was with Capgemini, and that was more like an independent consultant job where they hired me because of my merger and acquisition experience. Remember I told you the companies I was working for were getting acquired, like Logica got acquired by CGI. So I saw that transition. I was in that transition when that was happening. And same thing happened with Yodi. We saw how things change, how leadership work, how things are communicated to the employees, how everything works in merger and acquisition. So that experience of mine resonated with Capgemini, and they were in that stage of merger and acquisition. So they hired me for that kind of role where I would be purely merger and acquisition consultant, and my work was limited to that area. Now, people who are already working in HR will tell you how tiring that job is, because it's not your everyday smooth job. You have to be on your toes. You have to do things from scratch. You will be dumped with some random messy data inputs, and then you have to produce results from that. But I didn't have any choice. I wanted to come back with a job now that I've had so much career breaks. So I started my job with Capgemini, and it was terrible than the internship that I did with the PSU, because I wasn't expecting that from a company like Capgemini. But I didn't like it. I mean, the team was more than the team. I would say it was more about the person I was working with directly, one-on-one. I wasn't interacting much with other people in the team, or I should say I wasn't allowed to talk to people who were doing other stuff. So my manager actually ruined it for me. So the person I was reporting to and the HR director was somehow unbothered about the messy things that were happening, and I did see other colleagues in the team talking stuff about the manager I was reporting to. Nobody was happy with her ways of working and the kind of behavior she had, looking down on people, so all of that. So I knew it was a short assignment for me. I will figure out something else, but I wanted that cushion, that time that I'm not jobless and I'll search. But though the work was fine, I used to do that work. That work wasn't a problem. The team, the people was a problem. I wasn't feeling comfortable there. And another thing which I noticed there is, which I want to highlight, maybe it helps you or you keep this in mind. The image of independent consultant or a contract employee seems to be very different here in Capgemini's office. I don't know why. I never experienced that in Bangalore. I mean, if you are an independent consultant, I mean, you are on your own feet. You better be having a lot of knowledge to consult the company. And in Bangalore, everybody had immense respect about that kind of work. But in Delhi NCR, somehow, even if you're earning like 3 times higher than that full-time employee was seen as, somebody to be given respect to. So I was very surprised with that kind of perception or point of view or image that people had. Or maybe, I don't know, or maybe it was just my manager who gave me that impression and that ruined everything. So I was literally surprised, and I was paid really well though for that position, obviously, because of all the experience I had. I negotiated really well. I didn't come here on the same salary. I negotiated well, and I told merger and acquisition consultation is not like, your cakewalk that you just simply pay anything. So I was paid really well, everything was going well, but I couldn't work under that manager. I couldn't see myself working in that office. It was that bad. And on a particular day, I remember that team was celebrating something, being a part of some celebration which company was doing, and everybody from HR team was there to see the celebration, to be a part of. And I wasn't allowed to go there. My manager told me that, you have to first finish that work. And I was like, but everybody else is there. They got work too. I mean, that was the biggest red flag for me. And that day I promised myself, no matter if it take me 2 more years to find a good job, I will not work in shitty jobs, because it's messing with my peace of mind. It's messing everything in my life. I wasn't happy. I was irritated every single day. When I reached home, I didn't feel good. I mean, that irritation lingered on and manifested in every part of my life. So I wasn't liking everything. On top of that, my personal life was also not on the smoothest track. There were few tragedies in the family and nothing was going well. So after spending 6 months or so there, I left that company for good. And I was like, you know what, I will take my time and I will apply to companies which fits my vibe and which have the job descriptions that I want to pick. Not like I didn't apply to any random role. Till now in my career, I used to apply in bulk. Like, I used to apply wherever possible so that I could maximize my interview possibilities and land somewhere, because I thought I had so much gap, so I should catch up on that gap. So then this was the first time I mindfully applied to very few companies where I felt that I could fit in. And no, again, a big no to any MNC, a big no to services companies for sure. So I started applying to product companies, smaller companies. I used to research about companies. The moment I find out that they are in services, a big no. I used to come back from that apply page. I didn't apply to those companies. So I was very mindful. And there were a handful of companies where I think around 3 or 4 where I reached a final stage, but nothing happened. So I was really heartbroken. I didn't know what to do. I was like, the time is flying once again, and I'm not sure if my strategy is working. So people around me also told, you take whatever is coming your way. Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. When I was applying, I got a couple of offers, but they were offering me much lesser than my last compensation was. So I wasn't okay with that. They would argue that I could scale back once I am in the company. I perform well, after a year, I'll get increment and all of that. Why would I start back? I mean, I have reached that level. Why I want to go back and start from there and waste another year or 2 year or 3 years? I didn't want to do that. So there came a time when, friends, family also started to tell me that it's okay. Maybe Delhi NCR doesn't pay well. You can start at whatever you are getting and then you can scale up, and you have done it before, so you can do it again. And I was like, I do not want to do it again. So I was very headstrong. I didn't accept any of the offers which were offering me lesser, even 1 penny lesser than what I was earning earlier. In fact, I asked for a raise in every single company and I negotiated, and I knew that they see my worth, but it's just that they want to negotiate just because I'm jobless. So I said no very politely to every single company who were offering me less, and they for some reason thought I'll come back. So, but finally I landed in the company I'm currently working for. It's again a very small company. not a huge setup, you can say small to mid-sized company. And I landed there, and there was no HR team here for them in India. And I was interviewed by the HR head, who's based out of US. So she was here in India for some event of the company, and we met. She interviewed me, and I went through a couple of stages, and then they hired me. So my role was very clear in this company. She told me that I am taking care of the US and Canada operations here, and they had like full team there for 5 people handling HR operations for Canada and US, but they didn't have anybody to manage HR of India. So she told me that I had to set up HR India team from scratch, all the compliance, all the greenfield settings, all the process and policies has to be built from scratch, be it POSH, be it state compliance, be it leave policy, be it anything under the umbrella of, Factories Act, employees, whatever. I had to take care of that, and I had to build that from scratch. So I was very excited for that role. That is something I was, craving. Though initially I was like, I don't know if I'll be able to pull that off, because till now I have worked in HR teams which were already existing. As in, I didn't work in any HR team which was not existing. So this was the first time, and I told her clearly that I have not started any HR team from scratch in my career till that time. But she told me that it's not going to be much difficult, considering my the scope of my experience. I had done merger and acquisitions, I had done HR operations, I've seen recruitment, I've been into performance appraisal, evaluations, and all of that stuff. We are there to support you. Though she said she know nothing about India HR, so I was on my own. But India management team helped me a lot, and I was reporting to India management in local time, basically acting more like a HR business partner to them, though my direct reporting was to HR head, who was based out of US. So I started here, did everything from scratch, and we had then grown HR team to much more people, and it was a great experience, still a great experience. And I loved the learning curve that came with it, and all the experience that came with starting everything from scratch. And I think I was in that role for around 4 years. Around 4 years. Then I got promoted to the role of global HR manager, where I now manage HR for India, US, and Canada as well. So we are managing HR operations for all 3 locations from India only. I have a team, I have people reporting to me. So it has been an amazing journey here, and it all comes down to, actually, if you're working with the right people, the growth will automatically happen. And if you ask me honestly, what skills helped me reach here, the number one skill, or the number one strategy that helped me to get me here, is not following the traditional path. And I'm being very honest about it. You ask any HR aspirant that how you want to start, what kind of job you want to get. They do not have clarity about what kind of HR job they want to get. They just know that they want to get HR job in TCS, Wipro, Infosys, Capgemini, Accenture, Genpact, all these services companies. So they do not have clarity about their job. They just want to be associated with those brands. And that is the very mistake that keep you stuck. And you won't believe me, I get so many one-on-one consultation messages. If you're not aware, I take one-on-one consultation on messages. On TopMate, you can send me your career query and I respond accordingly. So I do not take calls, obviously, because I do not have that kind of bandwidth. I'm a full-time working employee. So over weekends or whenever I get time off my work, I respond to those queries. So I get so many messages where people will tell me, I'm working in this MNC from last 6 years and I'm just doing this mini task like scheduling interviews, or I'm just sending payroll inputs, or I'm just doing the employee referral kind of work, taking care of that part of work. So that is bound to happen if you work in MNCs. You have to lay down your path, and especially if you have come from a tier 2 college, to reach to management level, you need to have a clear strategy, and you cannot afford to be blindsided by the name of these big services companies. So try to aim for product companies, be it smaller or micro product company. That also will work. If you see in my story, I started with the product company. It was tiny, like it was set up in some 5 BHK house, and the entire building was in residential area. So we started from there. Though it was a different thing that the company was deputing to the clients, but the setup was there. But it was a product company, and all the experience that I got in those 8 months was because I worked with that product companies. If I had started with some TCS info kind of company, I think by 6-7 years, forget about being a manager. I would be doing that one teeny tiny task with 5%, 4% of raise. No way I could reach this level which I am working right now. So that is the biggest lesson that you can take from my journey. And the second thing that helped me most was my eagerness to learn everything. I never settled for, easy HR job. I was curious to learn, no matter what it was. Be it about health insurance, be it about PF compliance, be it about labor laws, whatever it was. I was eager to learn. I learned it. I volunteered to do things. I never took any shortcut that, I just want to be on a fancy title in a fancy company with poor pay. Half the time you do not know that people who are working in these MNCs as a HR, any title doesn't matter, below HR manager, they are paid very, very poorly. Why? Because they are just executing a small part of HR, which is like you already have a checklist. You have to just take the step 1, 2, 3, 4 every single day and you get the result. So if you are aiming for that kind of role, number one, AI has already started eating up those kind of jobs, because if you're just taking the checklist, AI can do it better than you. So try to target rich HR jobs so that you can really get the return on investment. I mean, I did my MBA from a tier 2 college, but it was such a sudden decision to do MBA post my BTech that, I had to spend so much on my college fee, so much. And I started so small. So I knew from the day one, if I go a traditional route that I earn 20K, 25K, and then get 2%, 3%, 5% increment on it, then forget it. It's not going to happen. So I targeted smaller companies, product companies to be specific, because they value your contributions. They do not hire people in bulk. They have good revenue to split, not to split as in to pay good money to their employees. So that's very important. And do not shy away from learning complex things. I see people in HR saying to me, I do not want to do labor law kind of stuff. I do not want to do PF compliance kind of stuff. So if you have criterias like that, then let me tell you, you'll not be able to go that far in your job. You will get stuck at the level 1 or level 2 max. Beyond that, it's very unlikely, because if you want to be a manager, senior manager, or somewhere above in that hierarchy, you need to have that knowledge. Even if you are not doing it yourself, you need to have the knowledge how it is happening and how it is done, so that you can manage the team well, so that you can see and validate the work done by your team. So that is very important. So from the day one, work on your skills, learn practical skills. If you are only aiming fancy title, fancy MNCs, then it's not going to work. I know it's not easy. Your parents do not understand the name of that product company, even if it is better than TCS Info and all the services company. Your neighbors do not understand, and they think you are working in some shitty company. But that's okay. That's okay. You are earning 10 times better than their daughter, their son who is working in TCS Info. Because believe me, as a HR, I can tell you the truth, because I see behind the scenes. I see the payroll sheets. I have seen the numbers. I have worked in the industry for so long. I have visibility to the numbers, and most of the times these services companies pay nowhere closer to the product companies. So it's okay if they do not understand the name of your company. You are working to get good pay. You're not working just to paint a perception in the society, oh, I'm working in so and so brand and people know about that brand. You're not working for that. You're working for your own financial freedom. So be mindful of what you choose from the day one, because if you're not mindful from the day one, then it's very likely that you get stuck in a wrong job and for a very long period of time, and then that window of growth will pass by and you'll not realize. So guys, that was my journey in brief, in nutshell. If there are some parts that you feel in this video could be talked in more detail, let me know in the comments what you want to hear in more detail. I can make video about that. If any specific role you want to learn, you want to know what happens in that role, then let me know. I will make a follow-up video of that just so that you understand what exactly happens in HR. And if you have any other requests for videos, you can put that down in the comments. And if you're a beginner who want to learn the practical HR day-to-day tasks from me, then you can choose to apply for my HR course. I teach real HR tasks in the most layman language there. You cannot get this knowledge even after paying 50 lakhs of money in any college. You cannot get it. I am providing it for fraction of that price. With that, I'm signing off. You keep on watching more content on HR Destination, and I will see you in my next one. Till then, stay safe and healthy. Take care. Bye.